Hello and welcome to the LAArtist Podcast. My name is Mr. David Rano and we are here on location at the Other Art Fair presented by Saatchi Art. And we are here to chat with the artists. Let's go do that. So whenever you're ready, the intro goes kind of like this.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to the LAArtist Podcast. I am Mr. David Rano and we are here at the Other Art Fair and we're chatting with Tony. And he's got an amazing, very musical style that I've noticed even from your Instagram post. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your art?
When you talk about the music part of that, it's mainly my background with my family. My grandfather was a professional musician who was semi-famous, you might say. My mother was a musician as well, so I have a lot of that background. It's kind of in me. And so a lot of my art stems from that, kind of a jazz feeling to it, so to speak. But I started art, if you want to ask about that, I started art as a young child. I was sick, really sick, had severe asthma, so I was in bed quite a lot, literally months at a time in bed. So I started to draw and really didn't realize I had a talent until my mother noticed, said, hey, you can really draw. So that was kind of a good kind of catalyst for me to feel better about myself in general, not being able to go out and play with the other kids and with my brother. So that was like an in for me to get more socially acceptable in school. I would use my art to help me in class. I could draw all kinds of cool stuff and people were like, wow, he's really cool. Yeah. So that kind of started me in art. From there, I spent my younger years and 20s, I did some painting, but at the same time I had to work. I had to raise a family, kind of pay the bills. So for many years, over 25 years, I was kind of blocked and didn't really paint, didn't really draw much except just doodling on my own until my second marriage kind of started things going. And then I retired in 2020 and started, and all of a sudden the world opened up to me to start back painting. So I've been painting since then. So
yeah, that's awesome. And it's also great to hear even just a story on how art was, helping you. It may not have like cured the asthma, but it helped me go through those rough patches.
It really did. Yeah, it was therapeutic, and it still is today. Yeah. It really keeps me going, keeps me young, so to speak. It's just, it's in me, it's a part of me, sure.
And can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, what is the subject matter that inspires you to paint?
When I started painting in 2020, I really was searching. For instance, I have one painting that is from a Gordon Parks, who is a famous photographer, one of the best photographers in the world, actually. And it's from one of his photographs. And it's been in my head, so to speak, for 40 years. And it just really, I had to get it on paper, in this case on canvas. So that painting, in a way, kind of started everything again for me. And you talk about subject matter, I really am interested in heroes, unsung heroes, American heroes, but not the standard ones that you may think of. People like Tuskegee Airmen, famous jazz musicians, maybe some that weren't the main musicians, but side people that really were still great. Kind of like my grandfather. I think that helped me kind of see that, because he's not a well-known musician, but he was a great musician. Yeah. And so I like highlighting people that are maybe on the edges, on the fringes. Cesar Chavez is a hero of mine. Many people.
I like that. And then to throw you a fun question.
Yeah.
Because you have music as a background, if you were to enjoy like a specific type of music or like an artist that comes to mind when you look at your paintings, what would be a good recommendation?
I would say there's so many.
That's why it's a fun one.
Yeah. Well, one of the greatest musicians, it's Miles Davis, and he was a musician, especially in his early years, that his work transcended. I mean, it's beyond. I would recommend so many people to listen to his early works. It's just amazing work. And there's so many. There's Oscar Peterson, who played piano, who is a virtuoso, yet a jazz musician. He could play anything, and he could play classical to jazz to blues. He's a big inspiration to me. Those are two that come to mind that are big time.
I can see that, yeah, and I can even see it just by, Miles Davis, how he was very vibrant with his music. You can see the vibrancy even in your color palette as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy colors. I want my work to pop, to really stand out. It's the way I work with the palette. I like using a lot of pure color, and that's part of what I just enjoy.
Awesome, and thank you for that. And then for a final question, we always like to ask our artists, like, what advice or what tidbit would you like to pass on to someone who may be starting?
I would say, it's an overall philosophy in life, which I believe is, don't ever let other people define what you can or cannot accomplish. Even with my art, the first paintings, when I first started back painting, I was a little bit discouraged. I was having trouble with the paint, with the canvas, and I just pushed through. You just have to push through. And I would also recommend any artist to study other great artists. There's nothing wrong with looking at classic art or whatever art genre that you're involved in. Find the highest level, buy some books or go online, whatever it may be, and study and look at it. You can learn a lot. And some people would think you're copying their work, but actually you're learning from the best. And I've learned a lot by looking at Impressionist masters that I'm really interested in, and it really can teach you a lot. Study, work on it, do it, but also you can do some studying as well. And with those two things, you can accomplish a lot, I believe.
I like that. That's some great advice for sure. Because I've learned it from studying and being inspired by others, and that's the only way to grow, right? That's the only way to grow.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you so much for being on our podcast. We'll put all his information in the description below, so you can check out his amazing work. Tony, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a great pleasure.
You have been listening to the LAArtist Podcast. Feel free to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the latest episode. You can see bonus content on our Instagram at Lorano Gallery, as well as our website, loranogallery.com/podcast. Stay creative, keep creating, and no matter what, be passionate about your art.